Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Janwell. You're welcome to the program. And as I always say, if there's anything that you plan on doing in your life, now is the best time to start. That said, let's get into the topic of today, which is the gender role in the family setup. This has been a subject of debate on many platforms on social media. And I've particularly observed this when it comes to American social media commentators. And they always use Africa as a reference point to justify some of their notions of what gender role is like. And I think there is some nuance when it comes to this issue of gender role. So I want to use my experience as a typical African person who has grown in the heart of an African village, to explain how this particular function in the family operated when I was growing up. Within the setup where I grew up, both parties actually contributed to the provision of the household. It might be strange for you to hear this, but this is the truth. That is how I lived it. Now, let me give you a little story about my own life to illustrate this. I grew up in a typical village in the southwest region of Cameroon, Africa, of course, with my grandparents, because my father was actually working in government and was moving from place to place with my mother. And in order for me to have stability, stable education, I had to be sent to the village to live with my grandparents. And my grandmother was responsible for the food in the house, while my grandfather had other cash crops, as we called it, which was responsible for taking care of some other major things like hospital bills, education, and things like that. So my grandfather didn't have to bother about what was available for cooking on a daily basis. Every now and then, he could buy something like some meat, sauce, or anything whenever he felt like giving an addition to my grandmother. But it was her responsibility to see to it that we ate every day, morning, afternoon, and evening. Even basic household provisions like detergents and stuff like that were still her responsibility. Even the cutlery in the home, she had to take care of that. Whereas my grandfather would be responsible for things like paying the tuition and travel bills, because by the time I was there, some of my uncles were studying in different corners and their bills had to be paid. Hospital bills, of course, were his responsibility. So this is how they both shared this role and contributed each person in his own way towards the proper functioning of the household. So provision has never really been totally a male thing when it comes to the African setup that I know. And by this, I'm not only talking about my village, not only villages in my country. It's a similar situation in most of West Africa, at least where I have had the experience of either meeting some such families or talking to people and getting to know a little bit about them. There may be some differences in some other societies, but within the spaces that I have mentioned and that I know, it has always been a shared duty. Now, the aspect of total dependence on a man only came in following colonization, when some of the parents had to live and work with the government and other such modern institutions. This led to people living in rural environments where they had their land to cultivate and sustain themselves into urban centers where everything had to be bought. And since at that time only the men earned salaries, that is where the female total dependence on the man ensued. And luckily enough, today, women and men have equal opportunity to work And in many families, they are still sharing the responsibility of providing for their family. So I do not think it is a fallacy to say both genders should and actually are taking responsibility for their household. Anybody who thinks that it's only a male thing, I think it's a new phenomenon from my understanding. And typically in Africa, both parties have been responsible for taking care of the household. This is a little bit I can contribute as far as this topic is concerned as at now. If you have any comment about this, go to the comment section and then share your thoughts. But above all, please like this video and share it to your friends so that we start having a greater conversation. And you also push me to the limelight. I thank you all for your attention and see you in the next video. Thank you very much.